So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I see people getting into the room for this session 18, number 18, that a colleague is very, very pleased to organize with the Pan-African Farmers Organization. Each time focusing on entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs, be smallholders, SMEs, cooperatives, etc., who are in business, be local, regional, or export markets, and always showing their innovations. Of course, it doesn't mean it has all been easy, but it means they are successful, they made it, and we want all to learn from those experiences. And as always, we also have support organizations like ourselves, like PAFO, like COLEAD, but of course we invite partners from other organizations to share with us how they support the entrepreneurs in different areas and build the ecosystem which is necessary for the entrepreneurs to really expand and develop. So we are going to, I think people will still continue to arrive, but without to keep time to listen to the entrepreneurs, which is a very, very interesting part. We are going to start, as you all know, or at least for the new ones, this session is recorded. All the material recording as well as the presentations will be shared, and we will tell you exactly, we have a dedicated now website for those series, for those sessions. We also have interpretation in English, French, and Portuguese. So you have to go at the bottom of your screen, you see a little globe and choose the language that you prefer, of course. We thank in advance actually the interpreters for the brilliant work and for allowing us just to exchange and to learn from each other. It's a very exciting today topic because it's adding value. Well, even when it's fresh, its packaging is critical. Is critical for any entrepreneur in any part of the chain. There are many innovations going on. There are many also constraints and regulations that people have to comply with. So we will learn from a few cases. On the program, we have enterprises from Benin, Ghana, Nigeria, and then we have experts from Kenya. We have a small change from, unfortunately, one of the enterprises, Mr. André Broad Mensa from Côte d'Ivoire, in the coffee value chain in Ivory Blue, who actually was traveling and unfortunately is sick and cannot make it for this session. We will make sure to have him, of course, in one of the coming sessions, but he cannot join us today. He has actually COVID. So without major delay, what I'm going to do is to give the floor to my good co-organizer, Dr. Babafemi OYEWOLE, who is the CEO of the Pan-African Farmers Organization. As you know, he is very, very experienced. He has occupied very high jobs, high positions as the CEO of the African Agribusiness Alliance, as a former CEO of African Cashew Alliance, the former executive director of Africa Energy Investment Corporation, West African Bankers Association, and so on and so on and so on. Axel will kindly put the biodata in the chat that you look into more detail. So this is to say, yes, of course, widely published as well. This is to say that we are pleased to have him, to have his expertise on policy, banking, finance, agriculture, agribusiness, and so on. And of course, always very committed to these sessions and these entrepreneurs. Babafemi, please welcome from Kigali. I understand you're in Kigali now, and welcome to this session. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Isolina, for the introduction. Good morning or afternoon or evening to everyone, depending on where you are joining us for this edition. Once again, I'm very pleased to welcome our regular participants and newcomers to the 18th edition of the 2024 Innovation Series. PAFO and COLEAD are pleased that you have created the time to participate in today's edition. The theme of this session is Innovations in Packaging, Opportunities for African Entrepreneurs and SMEs. We have chosen this theme because in today's increasingly competitive market, packaging plays a critical role in attracting customers and retaining their loyalty. Gone are the days when packaging was solely seen as a means to protect the product during transit. It has now evolved into a powerful marketing tool that can make or break a product's success. Packaging serves as the first point of contact between consumers and a product. It is the packaging that catches the eye of prospective buyers and entices them to make a purchase. A well-designed and visually appealing package can create a positive initial impression, while a poorly designed one can be quickly dismissed. In addition to aesthetics, functional aspects of packaging are equally important. Packaging needs to be practical, easy to handle, and convenient to open. Consumers appreciate packaging that is user-friendly and hassle-free, enhancing their overall experience with the products. Moreover, in an era where sustainability is increasingly valued, packaging has a significant role to play. Eco-conscious consumers are more likely to choose products with minimal or recyclable packaging. Products that prioritize sustainable packaging practices not only contribute to environmental protection, but also appeal to a growing market segment that values sustainability. Sustainable packaging materials can initially be more expensive than conventional ones. This cost differential can deter SMEs from adopting sustainable packaging. Furthermore, there is little investment in packaging. Furthermore, there is limited knowledge of packaging technologies, product standards, and certification, and generally little investment in packaging infrastructure. Despite the challenges of sourcing sustainable packaging, there are also opportunities for African SMEs to be competitive with appropriate packaging materials. I would like to reiterate here again that one of the pillars of PAFO strategic plan is the promotion of farming as a business. Therefore, we recognize that appropriate product packaging can open tremendous market opportunities in food for African SMEs and smallholders in regional and export markets, particularly through the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. We should also continue to advocate for investment in product packaging facilities for easy access by African SMEs and smallholders. To conclude, we look forward to benefiting from the experience and expertise of the resource persons that have been assembled to discuss this theme, and the active participation of all participants. PAFO and COLEAD are committed to enhancing the capacity of African SMEs, businesses, and smallholders so that they can take advantage of market opportunities through sustainable innovation and good business practices. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a productive section.
Thank you very much, Babafemi, for these introductory remarks and giving the context of our discussion. Of course, many of these elements will be shared by the enterprises, and we will get deeper into some of those. So what we want to discuss today is the opportunities in food packaging for African SMEs and businesses, the innovations that they have done, and in general, the innovations that are required to succeed in local, regional, and export markets, or both, or many at the same time, and the incentives, of course, that you businesses have had, or you should have, based on your experience, that you better use access first and use packaging locally, or eventually imported, but access packaging, which is not always very, very easy. So without major delay, and please, as always, put your comments or contributions into the chat that we will get at the end a question and answer service. I mean, a question answer session that we will bring some of the key questions you have. So without major delay, I give the floor to Joan Inés Henri Gade, who is the General Director of Jhines factories in Benin, in tomato processing. She will explain to us her model, so from West Africa, Benin. She's really an awarded social entrepreneur. She has extensive international experience because she had also, she was exposed to international programs on Young African Leaders Initiative, African Center for Advanced Studies in Management, and so on. She's very much involved on youth employment in agriculture. She's also the president and global secretary general of the World Union of Women Entrepreneurs, and we value that very much at COLEAD and PAFO to have a woman as well leading this sector as many others. And yes, and you also provide entrepreneurial training to disadvantaged young people and adults. And we like very much that because the entrepreneurs we have in these sessions are not only successful entrepreneurs, but usually they are committed to their communities, to the contribution, the social contribution to their environment. So, Joan, Inés, merci beaucoup de nous rejoindre du Bénin.
Joan, Inés, thank you very much for being with us from Benin. I give you the floor. You could start your presentation. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this session, and thank you for the interpretation. I am Joan Inés Henrigat. I am an agronomist by training, I quickly moved to food processing as a sector because for a long time I noticed that agri-food processing I was aware that agri-food processing needed being developed because currently it is not sufficiently developed and it should involve more people. So in 2014, I was still at university at the time, and I was lucky enough to follow a general curriculum in agronomy, and in the third year, I decided to specialize in agri-food processing. In 2014, I created my own company, Jhines Factories, which is now being deployed. The company, of course, was, the company, as I said, was created in 2014, but it's only in 2019 that I was actually able to start working on tomatoes because I first needed some capitals, some money to begin. And as you know, agri-food processing requires proper funding. I'm not going to elaborate on this, but for the time being, we work on our vision. Our vision is to be, by 2030, the largest industrial tomato processor in Benin. And why not in the West African sub-region? The company has 4 major objectives currently. First of all, to help reduce tomato post-harvest losses and provide jobs to young people, especially women, because women find it hard to have stable employment. We also want to enable every tomato grower to achieve profits after harvesting. We spend a lot of time with our producers, we discuss with them, and in times of plenty, the activity is not sufficiently profitable, and because of that, they are forced to dispose the produce. For instance, after a market, you can see tomatoes everywhere on the ground because bringing tomatoes back to the farm is too expensive. So one of our objectives is to allow them to make their production more profitable. And finally, fourth objective, we believe that we need, of course, to make money, but at the same time, our objective is to improve training, allow young people and women who don't have sufficient resources to get familiar with the activity. So we want to devote a percentage of our sales to training for those people. We want them to be familiar with constraints and with limits. And we've been doing so for 3 years now. And each year in August, we organize a training course in different villages. Axel, slide, please. Thank you. So as I said, in Benin, agriculture is particularly developed, and tomatoes is the most cultivated species. Tomato is grown all over the country, and the good period will start in a few months from now. We shall end up with a large quantity of tomatoes, and these tomatoes will have to be processed. Up to 86% of these harvested tomatoes are not processed. So to find a solution, to solve the problem, my company has decided to work with producers, and together we process these tomatoes in times of plenty, and we keep the processed products, and when later on these products are marketed. And thanks to that, producers are able to reimburse their loans, because many of them, after harvesting, simply close their farms and try to do something else from which they can derive some income. Some of them, for instance, work as taxi drivers to reimburse their loans. So when we started, our initial measure was to market the two products you can see there. We started with the one in the jar, the second one. It's and also with tomato puree. We didn't want to market both products at the same time. So I started with tomato puree. Basically, it was not in that packaging. It was also available, it was available in jars. But I received a lot of feedback. You know, each time I find a customer, I give him or her 2 or 3 weeks, and then I call them back asking for a feedback, suggestions, recommendations, and so on. So I had a lot of feedback from my customers. They said that they found it difficult to transport such products over long distances. And lots of jars would be broken while being transported. Such problems were quite common. And this resulted in major losses from the company. So I consulted with packaging specialists here in Benin. I followed training courses on packaging, how they can be adapted, and so on. The Chamber of Commerce also offered courses on that. And I finally was able to develop the packaging we are using for that product. For the time being, it's only for tomato puree, but we are now going to use the same packaging for tomato concentrate, but for that, we have to use the machinery, a machinery which can process pasty products. Next. You know, there's a saying that nothing is lost, nothing is created, everything is transformed. And in the course of processing, some tomatoes get broken or bruised, and they are not used for processing. They cannot be used for processing. Initially, we would eat them at home. We would use them at home, but we ended up with very large quantities of such tomatoes. We were not able, there was too much to eat it. I would give it to cattle, to poultry, still at home, but that was not sufficient. So I decided to do something with those bruised and broken tomatoes. A broken tomato is not a rotten tomato. Broken tomatoes are tomatoes which have lost their shapes during transportation. I decided to upgrade these tomatoes. And thinking about it, I decided to process those tomatoes into soap, as you can see on the picture. I decided to produce a tomato-based soap to combat the harmful effects of rampant depigmentation and to reduce the effects of sun rays on skin. And based on my customers' feedback, lots of them told us, you know, I bought your product, but the results are better than you expected, because my cousin had itchings and she used the soap and now her skin is okay. So the soap is becoming more and more successful, a bit everywhere, but not yet. I'm in the course of getting certification, and this process is not entirely completed at this stage, but once the process is completed, we shall change the packaging and it will be available everywhere. Our flagship product, of course, is tomato, but we also have a few customers who told us, you know, we buy your tomatoes and it's great, but we buy our spices everywhere. And can you propose high quality spices? So I decided to make available a few spices, spice mixtures. So I'm offering spices, chilies and ginger, which can be prepared, cooked with the tomatoes. And I'm using aluminum packages because initially I used plastic packagings. It was difficult because these were difficult to close and they were not airtight, which means that the products would spoil. So my decision was finally to use zipped packagings, which are entirely fully airtight. And after zipping, we subject the product to airtighting, which means that the quality is preserved. My team at present is as follows. Myself, as a CEO, I manage from 8 to 10 casual employees. 8 to 10, why? Because, you know, tomatoes has its own cycle. And abundant production takes place only for 3 months. So I can't keep all my employees occupied throughout the year. After those 3 months, we use tomatoes for producing soap. And we don't need up to 10 people for that, which means that 10 people are employed only during the very busy period. And sometimes we have to hire more people to process tomatoes, which are in the waiting line, if you like. We also have a consultant, a cosmetics consultant, who is there to provide some advice on the process and how to enhance, to improve the process. And I work with 4 producers as well. And we are trying to help them change their methods, that is moving from traditional farming to organic farming. And this year, I decided to include farms which are managed by women. And I'm exchanging currently with these women for them to have their own production and to be more profitable. And we have 2 full-time employees, namely myself and 1 assistant. Assistant who is working with me hand in hand in my company. Our production capacity for the time being, we are able to produce up to 25 tons per year. It depends on the orders and on the previous year status. And we use a variety, a specific variety. Sometimes orders go up and our stock is not sufficient to meet all these orders. And because of that, we start another production cycle with a different species, with a different variety. What about communication? We have a communication strategy. We provide discounts. We use different means for communicating, of course, promotions, word of mouth, sales exhibitions, posters, flyers. We distribute flyer, we take part in fairs at the invitation of the Chamber of Commerce. Sometimes also, as I said before, I'm leading a network of women entrepreneurs at the world level and at the sub-regional level. And we organize campaigns. We place posters in strategic city locations where we know we could find prospects. Now, analysis with the strong points and the weak points. Our strong points are strengths. First of all, availability of raw materials. We have qualified staff and we have a unique packaging. Unique, why? Because the doll pack is used only by my company for the time being in Benin for tomato. And I get a lot of feedback from other producers in Benin producing tomato as well. And they would like to know how to use this specific type of packaging because it is used very differently from a bottle or a jar. If you don't know how to handle it, after 2 or 3 days, the packaging just explodes. And I had a problem in the beginning. I remember that year, in a matter of 1 week, I lost more than 500 packagings, 500 products, 500 items. I found that revolting, but I decided not to stop and not to get discouraged. I continued to work on temperatures and so on. And finally, the problem has disappeared and I can store the product over very long periods. The product can remain intact for 1 year to 1.5 years. What about weaknesses? I'm almost finished. Weaknesses, we are not yet able, we don't have the machines, the machinery required with a high production capacity. Our financial resources are limited. And in the same way, we don't have packaging production plants in Benin. So all that we use comes from China, for instance. And since the packagings are ordered abroad, we are faced with other problems. For instance, here, you see the tip is white in plastic, and this is what we receive. There is a difference between what is being advertised and what we receive. And because of that, our machinery does not allow us to use the products, the packagings we buy. Opportunities, demand growth. We have the monopoly in the production of tomato-based soap here in Benin. About threats, of course, we need to be certified. Certification is ongoing. And raw materials are getting more and more expensive because our seasons are no longer on schedule. Rainfall problems. For the time being, we are expanding, we are developing, and to achieve that, we need funds. To strengthen the skills of our staff, we also need funds to purchase suitable machinery and equipment, to obtain certification, to improve product quality, to expand our production units, and to acquire a means of transport for raw materials and finished products. Thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you. Thank you very much, Joan, Inés. It was very interesting. The tomato chain value is not an easy one. Locally, there are only very few efficient companies. It's a chain of value which is based on imports. And I did like the doll packs you showed us, and the fact that you are trying to replace plastic with such doll packs. And you also mentioned your problems, of course, in terms of packagings, either Nigeria or China. But here again, the supply is limited, hence more problems. I have received many questions for you, and we shall go back to you at the end of the session. And I'm sure that your answers will be useful to other entrepreneurs. Thank you very much. That was very interesting. I also like the way in which you decided to decrease post-harvest losses. Products would be disposed otherwise, and by processing tomato, you can reduce losses. Thank you very much.
Without major delay, we go now to Derrick Sarfo, who is the CEO of DercolBags packaging in Ghana. So we stay in West Africa for now. He's the founder and CEO of the company. His mission is to empower women entrepreneurs to replace single-use plastic packages with eco-friendly packages, of course, to contribute to a cleaner environment. You have a very strong experience and interest in sustainable packaging design, environmental protection, circular economy, and of course all the project management, community engagement, and technology which goes with it. You are very much committed to eradicate the single-use plastic pollution, knowing of course all the negative impact it has on the communities and the soil and environment in your countries and regions. And you are also a certified entrepreneur. Thank you very much for joining from Ghana, and thank you very much for sharing with us your success. Please, Derrick.
Thank you very much. I will share my screen. It's a good morning good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you find yourself. So my name is Derrick Sarfo, and I'm the founder CEO of DercolBags Packaging Limited, Ghana. It's a privilege to join you all on this call, on this webinar. And I want to say a big thank you to COLEAD and partners that have put this webinar together to educate and inform people on innovation in packaging and opportunities for African entrepreneurs and SMEs. And so I'm glad to join you all. As I present, if you have any questions, you can put it in the chat for me, or maybe after the presentation, then I will answer it for you. So let's go in. I will start by saying Steve Jobs, popularly known for innovation, mentioned that packaging can tell a story. And that is very true. I mean, if you are a business, if you have a product, you have a service, how you package yourself out there tells a story about your product, your business, or the service that you're offering to customers. So packaging is very, very important. And then more reason why I came into packaging as a business is because of an experience I had back in 2015. So on the 3rd of June 2015, I happened to be at Accra, very popular place called Circle. And it was getting cloudy, so we were trying to get into buses on our way back home. Fortunately for me, I left. Unfortunately, over 200 people that stood just for the rain to come down lost their life due to flood and fire disaster. Now, I got to know the news the following day, and I was really shocked by the awful incident. So I wanted to probe further to find out why. And then the report that came was the fact that the choke drainages around the area was what caused the flood. And unfortunately, where the majority of the people were standing was a filling station. So there was a spark of fire and a lot of people lost their life due to the flood and fire disaster. This really moved me because I was lucky I didn't stay there for a couple of hours. If I've done that, I wouldn't be here presenting to you all. So I started talking about the effect of pollution, waste, particularly single-use plastics, and how it affects our environment, telling my stories. And consumers, audiences will say, where are the alternatives to single-use plastic packaging? And so we started offering them such alternatives. And that's what led us into establishing our company, the DercolBags Packaging. And we have been running for about 7 years now. And we have several other businesses. So we define ourselves as a sustainable packaging firm, empowering women entrepreneurs, replacing used plastic packages with eco-friendly packages for a clean environment. Now, why do we do that? Because we realize that on a value chain, even from when you look at the agri value chain, right, in particular, you will see that majority of people that are on this value chain are women-led. On the very extreme side of agri value chain, which is the marketing distribution, you realize that majority of people that sells in our local markets, right, are women. And often their go-to packaging is plastic packaging. And these plastic packaging, when they use in packaging, people barely use it for more than 30 minutes. And then they dispose them off. It gets into our gutters, our drainages, and eventually pollutes our marine ecosystem. And when it rains, places get flooded, places are polluted. And so we have seen a gap that if we're able to empower these women that run businesses, that own enterprises, right, that produces this produce, to switch their kind of packaging to more sustainable, to more eco-friendly packaging, then gradually they can help replace single-use plastic packages, which pollutes the environment and create waste. And that is why we lay emphasis on empowering women entrepreneurs, because we see them as a solution to solving the plastic menace in our society and environments generally. So we develop and distribute eco-friendly packages made with recycled and regenerated materials in place of single-use plastic packages for businesses seeking sustainable packaging. The problem we seek to address as a business is to resolve the indiscriminate use of single-use plastic packages across businesses in Ghana and Africa. And the value we offer our customers is connecting their businesses to sustainable packaging by way of helping them save money, reduce their plastic and carbon footprints, right? So some of our products and services include generic packages and custom-made packages. We also provide training, consultancy, and procurement in sustainable packaging for businesses and individuals. We have an innovative solution which we call SPECS, or Smart Pack Exchange. It's a food packaging service, and it runs like the way Bolt Food or Uber Eats works. But the difference between our service and any other food delivery service is that when you order food from our platform or you subscribe to our platform, you receive returnable and reusable packs, which goes into users and then return back to us for washing and then reuse so that nothing goes waste. We produce corrugated boxes and then pouches for different form of produce. So our model is a circular economy model. It's a B2B business. We deal directly with businesses. My colleague was sharing about the challenges he has in terms of packaging his products, to the point that he has to import from places outside Africa. I mean, I'll be glad to work with you and any other company that might have a need for packaging services, especially if you're particular about circular economy sustainability. So what we do is that we produce and distribute eco-friendly packages. Food services or retail businesses or any other form of business that need our packages, they use our products in packaging their products for their customers. And then we do sanitization on sustainability on packaging. And this aims at helping people collect their used packages so that we can recycle them. And we have partnered with recycle companies locally here in Ghana that help recycle these waste and then turn them into different form of raw materials, which then can be used in our production again. So that is the model. And then over the years, we have been able to touch over 5 million people through our products and services. I mean, we have our metrics by way we measure this. What we mean basically is that produce that we have sent out there really touch about 5 million people. We have been able to eradicate 12,000 metric tons of single-use plastic packages in different forms. We have educated over 12,000 people on sustainable packaging through online engagements. We have currently, as a stand, we have served over 463 businesses in Ghana and then across West African places. We have been able to train, these are people we bring into our business, train them on sustainable packaging. Some of them are micro businesses that cannot afford high volume of packages, but want to learn how to package their products locally. So we train these people on how to use sustainable materials around them to package their products for the markets. And we have been able to directly create over 45 jobs locally in our country. As some of our customers that we have served over the years are what is on the screen at the moment. We have more than that, but a few of them that we could have here. So I just want us to look at the packaging landscape in Ghana generally. Now, the topic of today's webinar is on the innovation in packaging, right? Yeah, the opportunities for entrepreneurs and SMEs in Africa. Now, packaging is a very huge industry. I mean, it has been there for years, but it has been evolving, right? It has been evolving over the years. Currently, as of 2022, according to Benchmark International, the market size of packaging is worth over $1.3 trillion, right? And then it is projected to grow by 3.8% annually between 2023 to 2030. So there's a huge size of opportunity in that space. And there are reasons why the industry is growing, because especially in Africa, let me use Ghana for instance, constantly there is a spring up of malls, mega supermarkets, shopping centers that are springing up, right? What means is that more avenues are being created for entrepreneurs to showcase their products. If you, let's say you are into farming or you are into processing, more avenues are being opened for you to showcase your product so that customers can easily access your produce. What that also means is that you need to really position yourself well in terms of how you package your product and bring them onto the market, because it's going to be competitive, right? And then again, some of these mega shopping centers, malls have standards. And again, if you are even doing exports, you are exporting produce beyond the shores of Africa, there are standards that you need to meet. I mean, in the course of engaging with COLEAD, there was these standards that have been revised by EU and most countries in Europe, that if you are trying to export produce to these countries, there are certain checklists that you have to meet. Other than that, your produce will be rejected, right? So it's in as much as the industry is growing in terms of food packaging, food packaging, as a business, if you are in a great business in particular, you need to really position your produce, your product very well so that you're able to absorb some of these opportunities. So let me trigger it down to Africa. On Africa, the size of packaging is projected to worth $43.48 billion, right? Between 2023 and 2029. So it's a growing market, whether in food packaging, whether in your product packaging. In Ghana, where our company is based, the market is worth $450 million, and is growing 5.6 annually, right, since 2021. So these are some of the packaging companies that are based here locally in our country that operate locally and then also for the sub-region. Now, telling more onto the topic of the day, that is innovation packaging. There are certain innovations that have come to stay. And if you are a smart entrepreneur in Africa, you need to really pay attention to some of these innovations in packaging. Other than that, you lose out. Now, one of them is biodegradable and compostable packaging. And this is where, as a company, we really major in, right? These are packages that has to do with materials that can easily be degradable or compost. So these are what we call sustainable or environmentally friendly packages, right? So if you are a business in agric or you are in processing and you are selecting packaging, you should be mindful of the kind of packaging you are selling out there. Again, because for brand purposes, you don't want your package to end up on the ocean, right? There is a group that I'm part of, which is called Plastic Punch. They operate here in Ghana, and we do beach cleanups almost every month. And we do what we call brand audits. So when we go out to clean the beaches, there are a lot of plastic waste that we gather, packages and all that. And we audit to know how many businesses have their packages thrown into the ocean, right? And we use these data to inform government and then businesses on how they should revise some of the packages they use, because it's polluting the marine ecosystem, right? People that live around the coastal areas are constantly losing their livelihood due to these environmental pollution caused by single-use plastic packages. So if you're a business and you are considering packaging, biodegradable or compostable packaging should be one of the key packaging materials you should consider, right? This could be materials like bamboo, palm leaves, cornstarch for packaging, right? These are areas that, as a business, we really focus on. We use more of regenerative and then recycled materials in our packaging processes. The second one is what we call smart packaging. Now, this is innovation that involves integrating technologies such as QR code, NFC tags, or sensors into packaging. Now, this is really advanced in the West, right? Last 2 years, we introduced one product line, which we call Smart Pack, or SPECS for short. And the whole idea is that we want to be able to know how many packages that can be saved in terms of single-use plastic can be saved from the environment through food delivery and food packaging. So with Smart Pack, what we do is that we develop and then distribute these smart packages to organizations, especially catering businesses, restaurants. It's like this. I don't know if, you know, and it comes with a QR code here. Now, the Smart Pack is given to caterers or restaurants. And when they subscribe to the platform, if we are a corporate entity, then you want to work with these caterers, what they do is that instead of they delivering food in a styrofoam pack or a single-use plastic packages, they will bring your food in a smart pack, which is basically made with a stainless steel, food grade stainless steel, and then the cutleries are bamboo cutleries. Now they deliver this food to your end. Your staff can use this food, during the lunch time, and then when they are done, we collect these packs back to a washing center where it's washed hygienically, and then it's sent back to the restaurant or the caterers for them to reuse in serving lunch meals for consumers. So the whole idea is that we really want to track the level of consumption of plastic waste that is being eliminated from the environment. You want to save costs, because packaging costs, on average, right, here in Accra, a business that uses any form of packaging spend around between $50 to $1 on single-use packages. These packages go out there and never come back again, right? It's waste on the environment, and it costs them more than 10% of their annual revenue on packaging. So that is the goal: save customers their money, and also to save users their plastic footprints out there. Now, there are other forms of packaging like
Derrick, we have to finish. So a few minutes, please.
Yes. So we have edible packaging, and these are packages that can be even eaten. We have active packaging. These are packages that they incorporate in the packaging so that it preserves long life. And we have localized packaging production. These forms of innovation help businesses to advance and attract a lot of investment. So there are a lot of benefits that come with that. One, you're able to get access to new markets, compliance with international standard, enhance product value and appeal, and then gain partnership and funding if you really adapt these innovating in packaging. So I want to really encourage entrepreneurs out there that be mindful of your packaging, because it's the first point of contact when customers want to speak to you or when customers come in contact with your products. And if you are mindful of that and you go in for alternative sustainable packaging, it will really position your business very well. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for the listening here.
Thank you very much, Derrick. We will share as well all the resources you have kindly shared with us. Very important to be aware of all the opportunities, technologies offered, and even more if it's locally, obviously, and if it's African-based. We like very much all the work you are doing also with the recycling companies and all the area of smart packaging, which is indeed a key one for the future of many of the food industries, and that you are working on those locally as well. So we come back to you a bit later on with many questions without a major delay. And of course, I will come back as well to some of the services that COLEAD and others, of course, provide, not only on information on regulations, especially for exports, but also on technical assistance, training, on the whole packaging part, and of course, business-to-business linkages, which is critical. So the last enterprise to present in this first panel is Chichi Eriobu, who is the CEO of Phronesis Food in Nigeria, and who is also a company in food processing, packaging, and export company, which creates new food product lines from existing raw materials. In 2020, she was recognized as one of the top 6 business to get into Entrepreneurship World Cup in Nigeria, and also a part of the top 14 agribusinesses of the African Development Program, Africa by Go-Getters. So a multiple award-winning company. Of course, Chichi was also awarded Best Female Business Speaker, Outstanding Entrepreneur, and so on. You would see that we put a lot of emphasis, when possible, on women and youth entrepreneurs in those sessions. Importantly, like our other previous speakers, Chichi invests a lot as well on mentoring other entrepreneurs, on supporting small businesses, which is very important to have this. This is not a work that one enterprise can do alone, but as being part of an entrepreneurial community. So please, Chichi, without a major delay, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Isolina. Please let me know if everyone can hear me very clearly.
We can hear you.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, COLEAD and PAFO, for this session. I was particularly excited to share this opportunity. And I tell people in my network that every opportunity to share about your journey, even in a remotest, tiniest way, it's an opportunity to make an impact. So thank you again. My name is Chichi Eriobu, and I am the founder and CEO of Phronesis Foods. At Phronesis Foods, we are creating plant-based protein food products from existing raw materials. I say plant-based because we are focusing on plant-based protein, We are focusing on sourcing alternative plant-based protein for large community of Nigeria, which makes up 47% of Nigerians who are protein deficient. So what we do basically is to partner with farmers and offtake their raw materials that are going to waste and process them into finished food products, ensuring that we retain the protein nutrients in the products. So at the stage, when we started our company 5 years ago, in 2018, actually unofficially we started out in 2016, but like many small businesses, we had challenges, and then we had challenges, made errors, and closed down within the first 2 years. And I restarted the business afresh in 2018, and we've been running for that entire 2018. So it's been 5 years plus for us now. When we started, our bigger goal was to harness, to create alternative food products from alternative plant-based protein from existing food products. But to do that effectively, we needed to start with one raw material, because we are actively going into food processing now. So we needed to start with one raw material and run it for a period of 3 to 4 years, after which we will now take advantage of the existing market share that we have gained within this period of time to introduce more food products. It was also an avenue for us to test out what the market was doing. Now, we started out with African breadfruits. There are other versions of breadfruit you're going to find in the market or on the internet when you begin to research about breadfruits. But there are a few countries in Africa like Ghana, Nigeria where you can find African breadfruits in a good quantity. So we started by processing African breadfruits into multiple food product lines. And then we began to find licenses for our products and began to use the retail stores and distributors and exhibitions and fairs to get our product accessible to the end users. So on the screen, what we can find in that bunch is a freshly dried seed of African breadfruit. So you can find it in a packaged form. You can find it in a flour form, in a powder form. You can also find it in a toasted nut that is ready to eat. And you can also find it in a porridge form. And we do all of this as a company. Now, when we started, I did mention some minutes ago that we failed in our first 2 years. Part of what happened within that first 2 years was poor packaging and poor storage process, because I hadn't done this and we had literally zero amount of money to start with. So the kind of packaging that I started with when we started 7 years ago, the first time, contributed to our failure within the first 2 years. We needed, we started out with a nylon packaging that is meant for bread, the average bread that you can find in the bakeries. That was the kind of nylon that we started out with. However, the shelf life of our product could not be retained because of the kind of packaging that we started out with. And so for a within period of time, we had losses in products because of poor packaging and poor storage conditions. So when we got back, or before we got back, or as we got back into business, we had to research alternative sustainable packaging solutions that can help us, elongate the shelf life of our products as we put them on the shelf. So on the top right by the left is the freshly dried breadfruit nuts that is packaged in a Ziploc bag. It is airtight. Now, beyond the fact that it is a Ziploc, we also use a continuous band sealer machine to seal the topper parts such a way that it cannot be tampered with, except the customer buys it and goes home. It also, that same packaging nylon also can be used to store that product. It can stay in that packaging nylon for as long as 2 years, so long as it is airtight and the product will not go bad. So, and then the same kind of Ziploc is what we are using, the smaller size of it, to package the flour, which is the product that is directly underneath it. And then it's the same process. It retains the product inside, seals out air, and ensures that the product shelf life stays for minimum of 24 months for these two particular products. And then the other product by the downside of it, that is also in a pouch like, is our ready-to-eat toasted breadfruit nuts. The back side of it is aluminum foil, and the front side of it is transparent. However, the idea was to be able to give the customers a pictorial view of what the content of the packaging material is. This packaging, but this particular pack is sold through retail stores, through distributors, and then directly to customers. We also have a smaller pack of the same product, which is the toasted breadfruit nuts. Give me a second, let me get it and show you what it looks like. This is a smaller pack of the toasted breadfruit nuts. This is a nylon pack. This is sold in traffics here in Lagos, Nigeria. This is sold to low-income communities. The difference between this packaging and the other packaging for also toasted breadfruit nuts is that because this is being hawked in traffic areas, in traffic-prone areas around Nigeria, we couldn't afford to do a transparent nylon in the front like this one because the sunlight would affect the shelf life of the product. The shelf life for this particular ready-to-eat snack is 8 months. So if we expose the front, which before we went for this particular packaging for this pack size, we did a market survey using the social media, and we explained a lot of people preferred to have a transparent one. However, we couldn't go with that transparent one. If it was supposed to be sold in retail stores, we can package it like we did the other products that the packaging materials are transparent. However, we wanted to be able to retain the shelf life of this product and be able to sell it through the appropriate channels, which is traffic-prone areas. So to be able to ensure that customers get the same experience as to what does the content of the pack look like. So we put a pictorial picture of the product on the pack size to communicate what the content looks like. So this is how we are currently packaging our product. Majority, all of them are in nylon. These ones are Ziploc nylons. However, we couldn't do this nylon pack. Now, I remember that the person that did the introduction, the CEO of PAFO, he mentioned some things about sourcing for packaging materials and all of that. When we were going into the packaging for this particular pack size, the local market was very high as regards to pricing. So we couldn't go because we wanted this to be a product, a pack size for low-income consumers. So to be able to ensure that low-income consumers are able to afford this, we needed to be sure that the cost of production is as minimal as possible. So we did our market costing to try to find the nylon printing company in Nigeria, but their prices for just the nylon was quite high, was almost the price that we only just the nylon was almost the price that we want to sell the products. So we had to look for alternative way, which would mean that we will have to import. And I tell you in all sincerity, importing it, aside the custom-related issues as regards to clearing, the cost of importing it was more affordable for us based on what we are trying to achieve. And we had to give them specific instructions on how we want the nylon to be produced. The inside of this nylon, on this part, you will find tear here, which makes it easier for customers to tear. This is an old pack of it, so it doesn't have the tear here. So on one side of the nylon, there is a perforated, a marked out part that shows you from where to tear it. So the consumer is not struggling to open the nylon. On the inside of the nylon is a foil, an aluminum foil that is on the wall of the nylon inside, which helps to protect the product and also ensures that the shelf life of 8 months is sustained. So long as this nylon is airtight, up until 8 months at the very least, this product can still be consumed. Once there is a tiny bit of air going in from anywhere, we advise do not consume because it may still be healthy, but it's not to its 100% as it should be healthy. So next slide, please. So we are serving Nigerians, 92.7 million Nigerians who are protein deficient. And we are making a projection to serve at least 23,175,000 of these people in the next 5 years. So this is a recently made projection. This is a 2024 made projection, which also means that in the next 5 years, with all the other products that we are going to be releasing, which are protein, plant-based protein solution products, we are estimating to reach this number of people through retail store sales, through distribution, through partnership with hospitals, through sales, through pharmacies, and all of that and all of that. Next slide, please. So these are the different ranges of our products. You will find the flour, which is the top one. You find the middle one, which is the one I just showed you in the picture. The same product in another pack size. Now, we have a particular category of consumers. The plastic container with a green cover has 3 levels of packaging. The actual packaging container, the inner part of it has an inner seal that protects the product from air, and then the actual cover. Now, there is another tamper seal that comes on the top of it, that comes at the top of it, which is a nylon. That particular tamper seal, once you don't find it on the plastic container, we advise that you do not use the product. And we went for this particular plastic packaging because when we started out, before we introduced this one, this plastic packaging was the bigger size of this product that we had. And the Ziploc pouch, the silver one, was the smaller size. However, we discovered that our customers in the high-end areas prefer this particular one. So we have 3 categories of customers: those in the high-end areas, those at the middle of it, and those in the low-income consumers that we are serving with this. And these containers can be recycled. A lot of times, some of the customers return the containers to us for those that buy in large quantities, and some of them simply convert the container to storage containers for their home use. Let's move ahead.
We need to, yes, to wrap up, Chichi. I think most of it is already explained, yes?
Yes, please. So we have done a lot of work. We have 30 retailers, which has actually increased by now. All of our products are NAFTA certified by the necessary agencies, and we have sold tons of it. We are also working with distributors and affiliates to ensure that our products get into the hands of the consumers. Next slide, please. I think I am rounding off shortly. So we are using kiosk, we are doing cross-subsidization to ensure that this gets into the hands of the right audience. We are doing direct sales, like I mentioned. Please, let's keep moving forward. So with respect to competitive advantage, one of the things that have set us up or that has set us apart is our product packaging. And members of our team are well experienced. I used to have my mom, now she's passed, as a member of my team because she was also in the breadfruit processing for more than 30 years before I came into food processing industry. So majority of my experiences I learned from her. Okay, next, please. So in summary, I lead a team of full-time 12 staff, and we have a contract staff base of 71 women who we are working with in the local communities from where we source raw materials. It has been a journey leading this team. Our plan in the next 5 years is to introduce at least 5 new product lines from new raw materials. At this time, we're exploring sweet potatoes, and we are creating new food product lines from sweet potatoes and bambara nuts. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much for this very, very interesting presentation, Chichi. It's a bit more time than foreseen, but it's so interesting, and it takes so many of the topics. One is the breadfruit, so really local food, nutrition food, plant-based proteins that we of course promote as well in view of all the climate change impacts, the ready to eat meals, critical, of course, to serve some of growing, populations like urban populations, for example, and so much of the fantastic work that is done there. I think you will have many, many questions, but before that, we move on to the colleagues who now are in businesses, in organizations that support in the packaging, support the SMEs. And Zippy, Shiyoya, is the director of the Institute of Packaging Professionals Kenya, based, of course, in Kenya. She has a very, very strong background on packaging, interest, and, of course, passion. She has experiences as well on the big processing companies, multinational food packaging. So she has managed design projects, led printing initiatives, and understanding really all the markets, including the emerging markets. And she's very passionate about, of course, passing the skills and knowledge to the MSMEs. So please, Zippy, if in 10 minutes you can share some of the work that you do, that your organization does, that can interest the audience today. Thank you so much for being with us from Kenya.
Thank you very much. Let me share my screen.
And keep putting in the chat questions, insights, and so on, because we will reach soon that part. Please, yes, perfect, Zippy.
Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. I am delighted to be presenting to you innovations in packaging, opportunities for African entrepreneurs and SMEs. Okay, so I am from the Institute of Packaging Professionals, Kenya, and we are members of the African Packaging Organization, APO, and together we have a global organization that is World Packaging Organization that we are full members of. Now, the African Packaging Organization is made up of country members from different countries that form the African Packaging Organization. Now, the African Packaging Organization has a vision of a world of quality packaging for Africa, and with a tagline, promoting packaging professionalism and networking for Africa. And now, APO has objective, which is build packaging capability in Africa, build packaging networks in Africa and World Packaging Organization, promote Africa-wide packaging exhibition, congress, and competitions, and promote trade among African countries. Now, you will be interested to know that we have 10 members, 10 countries that are members of African Packaging Organization. And yeah, so we have Cote d'Ivoire, we have Ghana, Kenya, of course, Nigeria, Tanzania, Tunisia, Uganda, South Africa, Morocco, and Egypt. Now, this is an opportunity for all of us because we have 54 countries in Africa and only 10 countries have an institute or an organization that would be talking about packaging. So the Institute of Packaging Professionals Kenya is based in Kenya, and our focus is to educate and enhance packaging skills for packaging professionals. We also offer consultancy services, and of course, we are registered in Kenya. So Zippy, who is Zippy? So I am Zippy Shiyoya, and I'm a director at the Institute of Packaging Professionals Kenya. Prior to this, I worked for in packaging for a packaging and processing company in Kenya, and they also had a converting factory in Kenya. My role was to coordinate package design projects. So a little story. At that time, when I joined the organization, it works in the dairy industry, and the dairy industry was just opening up to MSMEs. And so we had a lot of MSMEs coming through. They want to packet milk, they want to package milk, they want to process and package milk. And they could see on the shelf, they could see imported products of milk products, some very nice, shiny products that we didn't have in Africa, in Kenya. And they also wanted value addition products, yogurts, cheese, creams, and stuff like that, that are what we call a value add. Now, so they come in with a lot of demands, and the converting factory has its own limitations, let's say it like that, and they are not able to manage what the SMEs want. And then we have other teams that are coming in, and marketing people and the brand owners. And we also had suppliers who did not have the capability. So my position was to coordinate between these different teams to see that we all bring together all our concerns and challenges, and to see that we have one product that everybody will be happy about. That gives me a lot of experience working with emerging markets and to understand what the entrepreneurs, the MSMEs go through when it comes to matters packaging. So let's talk a little bit about the market share. Africa, I think we've seen it from, I think it was Derrick who talked about numbers. So we like to look at it like this, but the focus in 2024, according to Modern Intelligence, is 43.48 billion US dollars. It is expected to grow to 52.52 billion by 2029, and that is a 3.85% increase, compound annual growth rate. Here is an opportunity for us to play in this space and take advantage of this growth. So when we look at packaging, we can look at packaging in many ways, and here are some of the segments that we look at when we see packaging. So we look at packaging by material. So here by material, we have paper and paperboard, we have plastic, we have metal, we have glass. And then we can look at packaging again by product type. And product type is plastic bottles, glass bottles, corrugated boxes, metal cans, and other applications. Now, when you look at product type, according to statistics, plastic bottles and glass bottles are the area that is seen to grow most by 2029. So there is an opportunity. So we can also look at packaging as by end user industry. So again, beverages, like they come in, first, followed by food, pharmaceuticals, household and personal care, and others. We can also look at packaging by country. And here we're looking at it. We can look at Egypt, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and then please note, rest of Africa. And that is a big concern that we have 54 countries in Africa, and they can only talk about 4 countries out of 54. The rest of us are lumped in rest of Africa, and that is an opportunity for us. So straight into opportunities in food packaging for African SMEs and businesses. We've heard it from one of the other speakers that in Africa, we have young consumers. And young consumers, they give us a great opportunity because, they've been to school, they have a little bit of money to spend, they shop in supermarkets, they want branded products, packaged and branded products. So the demand for consumer goods is high, and therefore there is an opportunity for us directly. Rising individual incomes, as I said, more and more, they are working and they're earning money, and therefore they have a little bit of money to spend. And of course, when they do this, there's an expanding domestic economy. They expand the domestic economy. Another opportunity is in new technologies. And again, someone else has talked about it. And we in packaging like to look at it as an internet of packaging that allows packaging to communicate with consumers. So we've looked at areas like of smart packaging. One of my colleagues has talked about it. And smart packaging is all about track and trace. So you can be able to know, to track your product and know where it is, what it is doing, and so on. And you can get data from that product. Some other things are like intelligent packaging. And intelligent packaging technologies, they enhance communication and interaction with product and consumer. So here, the sensors, and some of it you can put in temperature control and so on and so forth, that will allow you to communicate with the product. And then of course we have active packaging, and here it is additives in the film that will extend shelf life of the product. So again, there's a lot of information around this space. If anyone is interested, again, we can talk about it. Yes, another opportunity that I have had definitely from Chichi, Nigeria, talking about partnerships and collaboration. Now, the way it works is like this, that we have got so many players that are in packaging. So for example, we have packaging manufacturers. We have people who do research in institutions. We have government agencies. We have strategic partners. We have industry. Each and every one of these is doing something for packaging. However, I tend to think that they do it in silos. So your converter or the person is producing for you your packaging material has their own uh, key performance indicators. Let's put it like that. And what they want is that we have the latest machine that we just bought. The speed is, I don't know how many, packs per minute, you know. And what they want is they want to run on their machines. They want to run high speed, minimum waste, no stoppage. Therefore, very, very large quantities of product. And that is them. And then you have government, for example, in government, policymakers, government, we have environment people, we have quality people, and so on sitting in there. Government will say something like, the taxes, we need to make money. And they look at this and this, let's put taxes on this packaging material. So they would put taxes maybe on paper, maybe on plastic, maybe on what. And when they do this, it's like from 15% to 35%. That's a 10% increase. So, and that is the reason why you find that producing material locally is more expensive than importing from China. You import from China a container load, you bring it into your country, a huge container load of 20-foot containers, 40-foot container. You have storage, you have time, you bought your material upfront. And I think when you look at it like that, you may find that probably is not as cheap as maybe it looks. But again, here we need to collaborate. We need partnership. We need to collaborate with all these people. And we have some ideas on how this can be done. It's not being done now, but we need a way to see that we can reach all these players, bring them together in one room and talk about packaging.
Very few minutes left, 1 or 2 only, Zippy.
Okay, fine. So I'll talk about ourselves, education and training. So we do training ourselves, and we can train you in branding, machinery, materials, and other things. Now, I'll just go through quickly. Another opportunity we have is, Africa is exporting a lot to Europe, and here, the message is by 2030, all packaging must be recyclable and reusable. So this is a message that's coming to us now. If we want to continue to trade and even trade out of Africa and even within ourselves. Another important one is safe food packaging. Sometimes we call it food loss and waste. And here we're talking about in sub-Sahara, roughly 37% of food, or 120 to 170 kilos of food is lost per capita. The World Packaging Organization is saying like this: we need to find a balance between packaging waste and food waste. And I need to talk about an awards program that we run as a World Packaging Organization. All the information is here, and here we're talking about we have an awards program that you can bring in your innovative packaging and or innovations in food, and you can enter into an awards program that is run for Africa. This year, we are saying that it is free to enter. Anyone may enter, your converter and the brand owner together. Normally, we have imported material that is coming into Africa. But what we're saying is that a big percentage of it must have been converted in Africa itself. Yeah, so we have a closing day, and that is 31st of July. Again, we can talk about this out of this if any one of you is interested. So it's an awards program. Innovations, very quickly, here I've shown the eco-friendly packaging material. This is a box that I would like to talk about. It is a box that is an innovation from actually Ghana, and it is for smoked fish, dried fish. and it is made out of hyacinth material, and it has a lining in it, and you can put your fish, lock it, and you can even stack it. And I think that the retailers can actually use it to store their fish, their dried fish, smoked fish. And I think this particular innovation really talks to me, you know, even as a Kenyan, because it is something that I know if it is upscaled, it can really help in that area. Other technologies are what we call modified atmosphere packaging, vacuum packaging, intelligent packaging systems. And again, we can talk about this a little later when for whoever has time. Branding and value addition. This is another product that won from Kenya, and it is, you know, you can see that it is a dried leafy vegetable that has been dried, and it's been packed in this package. It is small size, 50 grams. It has some very nice aesthetics, very nice design for selling. And sorry to rush you, but I am Zippy, and thank you so much for allowing us time to talk to entrepreneurs in the room and around Africa. And again, we are here, and you can follow us. And from this slide, you can see that we are available. You can follow us. We have we are at www.ioppk.com. Also World Packaging Organization, also afristaff.africa for awards program. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Zippy, also for keeping with the time. It's always so interesting, so much information actually. But we have you have the links, you have, you know, and the contacts, so you can explore more. A very great initiative. I like it very much, of the awards program. I'm sure that this will even motivate more, you know, companies not only to apply, but also the others to have the information on what suppliers there are in Africa, because these are African ones. And of course, I'm sure that the offer, you know, the Institute does in terms of trainings, in terms of innovations in packaging, and also linking with the other, of course, training institutes across Africa, even if there are too few for now, is of critical importance. So let's get back to the question just after Tom. Last presentation, and very quick one, please, Tom Owuor, Director, Direne Packaging, but is also a business advisory service expert. He has also a lot of experience, I mean, internationally and at a multinational level on packaging. So you will give us very quickly some insights of the company and anything else you want to add from the very much that has been said already. And then we value very much the part on the questions and interaction again. So please, you have the floor, Tom. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Isolina, and good day to all of us. My name is Tom Owuor. I work for Direne Packaging and Business Advisory Services. Our company has got two divisions. The oldest is on technical advisory, particularly packaging advisory for fresh fruits and vegetables. That is 2011. And 2014, we diversified into the exports of fresh fruits and vegetables. So I will, in today's presentation, share with you experiences in terms of how avocado value chain, which we actually export, interacts with the packaging, right from you know, the farm level to the processing facilities, to the reefer containers, all the way to the destination markets. So just hold on while I put these together. I hope it's gonna waste a lot of my time.
You have problems with your presentation?
It's not,
to move it, it's not moving. If not, we take it from our side.
Yeah, that's where the challenge is. So perhaps.
Yeah, if you stop sharing.
Okay. Okay, that's fine.
Axel will help us too. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So what you're saying is to avoid this, we've got two issues here: how we package our products, and of course, definitely how we manage the cold chain management for that matter. So next slide, please. Yes, so we are saying this is now the avocado at the farm level. So we want to see how best now we can actually be able to use packaging to move avocados to the next level. Next slide. What is happening is that for you to effectively be able to take care of your fruits, packaging is actually very, very critical. The way you transport your farm produce from the market to the processing facility to the final destination is actually very, very critical. Here is a situation whereby we use crates as transport packaging. And you can see in that particular truck, the crates are actually assembled there, ready to pick avocados from the farm. And right into the next picture, you can actually see that the truck has actually arrived with avocados neatly arrayed, to the extent that you will appreciate the significance of packaging in terms of protecting this product to be able to get to the final destination in its proper shape, size, quality, and without any internal injuries. Move to the next slide. Yes, so the processing is equally very, very important. Here, before we actually sort and grade, we do the washing and waxing of avocados. So what we are trying to put across here is that packaging speaks in all, rather across all the nodes. The way you wash your product, the way you do the waxing will actually determine how you package it and how the entire value chain is managed, to the extent that the packaging material will then be able to reinforce what you have actually done at the processing level. Move on. Right here, what we're doing is basically sorting and grading now. And eventually, immediately after sorting and grading, this is also a situation whereby now packaging material also speaks here, because we package avocados per sizes. So each and every size will actually be given a specific packaging material to be able to actually have that packaging material have a different size or a unique size of the avocados that will then be put into a pallet before it is taken to the cold room. Move to the next slide. Yes, you have sorted and graded the avocados. Which kind of packaging materials are you able to use? To my left is a plastic packaging material, which is, of course, is a 10-kilo packaging material. To my right is a 4 kg packaging material. So you have a variety of choices from where you need to pick from. If you're actually talking about eco-friendly packaging, then the product to my right, or rather the product to my right, which is a corrugated packaging material 4 kg, is actually the best option. But if your customer is not so keen in terms of eco-friendliness of the environment, then you can actually settle for the plastic packaging material. So you've got a 10 kg plastic packaging material, 4 kg plastic packaging material. All of them are actually considered as primary packaging materials, which are, of course, also used as transport packaging materials. Move to the next slide. Right here, we are actually emphasizing the fact that much as we are actually talking about primary packaging materials, the way we treat the product in terms of, the kind of labels that we put in the product is equally very important. So labeling is equally key. We label the product much as we also label the packaging material. So this is a case study where we are actually talking about giving a brand to a particular product that we are actually selling out there to the international market. Move on. Right, we have started the process of palletization. And remember, the palletization is actually bulk packaging that is also used for transportation. So the picture to my left is the beginning of the development of the palletization process using corrugated boxes that is actually 10 kgs. On the right is actually a complete pallet with 288 4-kilo packs. So this is a good demonstration of what transport or bulk packaging actually works within the avocado value chain before we move this product to the next level. Move to the next slide. Now, what then happens is that after we actually have palletized, the avocados, here we have a total of 288 4 kg packs in one pallet. Now we are now putting them into the cold room, and this is equally important. At the cold room, initially we would set the temperatures at 6 degrees centigrade for 8 hours. But now, because of the changes in the dynamics of the international market, remember the wars that is actually happening in Gaza, in the Middle East, moving from the port of Mombasa to the port of Rotterdam is not actually as direct. So we're actually moving down the Cape of Good Hope. That basically means that at the cold room, we have got to do a bit of some adjustments, call it innovation in terms of temperature control. So instead of initially doing the 8 hours at 6 degrees, now we are doing between 12 to 24 hours at 6 degrees to be able to give the commodity the opportunity to withstand the pressures of extended duration at the seas, because they're now moving from 21 days to 46 days. So it is actually important that we treat the product and also reinforce the packaging material to be able to ensure that the product gets into its final destination in the correct shape and the correct quality. Let's move to the next one. Right here, what we're saying is that from the cold room onto the reefer container. The picture to my left is actually a reefer container, which must of course also be treated. We don't just lump the pallets right inside there. We need also to disinfect it to actually ensure that if at all there was actually some commodity that was actually used here, it is a commodity that perhaps could actually also interact with the product and therefore perhaps also reducing the quality of the product, for this particular case, avocados. So we need to disinfect it. And then finally, to my right, we are now stuffing the container. And I like what my colleague Zippy did mention in terms of track and trace. Track and trace to the extent that we put a temperature logger here, and by putting temperature logger here, we are actually able to track it right from the port of Mombasa, from the port of Durban, or from any other port into the port of destination. We are actually able now to track the temperature within our own premises, so that when it reaches the final destination, we are actually able to be assured that indeed the temperature that was actually set here is actually the temperature that was set at the beginning. Move to the next slide. Now, this is also packaging. The 40-footer container that we're actually talking about, this is now bulk packaging. We need to put a seal to ensure that nothing actually happens in between the exit from our premises to the final destination. And this seal has got a number that we'll actually then share with our customers across, whether it is at the port of Rotterdam, to be able to ensure that this particular container has actually not been tampered with whatsoever. And then to my right is now the way we actually close it tightly to the extent that it is actually airtight. No air, there's no air from the atmospheric pressure that will then have interaction with the product. So very, very critical indeed, the way we actually use the bulk container to be able to use to ensure that the final commodity reaches its final destination. Quickly to the next slide.
Yes, Tom, because the time is over, please, 1 minute.
I think then in that case, I think we better end it there. Finally, I think I would want to say that all these packaging materials are available in Kenya. There is actually no challenge in terms of sourcing packaging material. Of course, we do import some packaging materials from China, but in Kenya, it's actually not such a major challenge. Otherwise, thank you very much for paying attention.
Thank you very much, Tom. And please, coming in the time, it's just the time is, we cannot extend very much, and now interpreters as well have a very specific time, but very interesting to take us through the journey. What does it mean as steps, very specific in that case for fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables, which is, of course, a very big traded commodity in which COLEAD is very much, of course, involved in, and what practical steps all important means. So quickly on the questions, pour Joan, Inés.
I have a few questions for you, Joan, Inés. Tomato production, do you produce a tomato in the field or in the greenhouses? What about your market, Benin only, or in the Western African sub-region? Where do you buy your packagings from? You said that you were buying packagings from Nigeria and China. And what about the cost? What about the impact of that cost on your final product? And also, do you work with recyclers in Benin? That's another question for you. Are you working with other companies specialized in recycling? Thank you. First of all, no, we don't use greenhouses. We don't use screenhouses. There are very few screenhouses in Benin. Programs are being developed, but most farmers are growing tomatoes in the field. Yes, cost has an impact because if we were able to buy from Benin, of course, the cost would be less. It's difficult for us to know what the price of our packagings will be because those prices are fluctuating. And so we are obliged to get information and to do research about this. Yes, there was another question. Do you recycle your packagings? And if so, are you in contact with other recyclers in Benin, in your country? Or do you buy your packagings? Where do you buy your packagings from? Benin, the sub-region, or the continent? The packagings are recyclable, and we don't recycle them because once our packagings are used by the consumer, they are washed by the consumers, and they use them as jars. But we do recycle the glass jars. And you also have a return process which can be put in place against money. But before, I used to sell the product to other countries, for instance, Rwanda, Togo. But because of some restrictions, once we are certified, we'll try once again to move or to turn to other countries and not to restrict ourselves to Benin. Thank you. Of course, if you want to add other things in addition to what you've heard, I'll get back to you.
So the questions are into which industries your clients are involved in, and how many times the recycling packaging you propose can be reused, and how the collect of the packaging you have sold to your clients are organized, and from which sources are you getting your recycling packaging? So basically the sources, the recycling process, how does it work in your cases? And now, the clients, again, use your services for that. Thank you. Derrick? So if Derrick has a problem, no, you are just muted, though.
Oh,
yeah.
Hello.
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks for the question. So I think the individual, the fellow that asked the question was trying to find out the cycles, right? So reusable packaging, the model, when you're going to use the model, for instance, for what we are doing with specs, you really need to consider logistics and a return of the packaging to its original place. So this, what I was trying to share with the audience, is not the kind of packaging that goes beyond what they call it, beyond the shores. For instance, if I'm in Ghana as a farmer that have a produce that I process and I'm trying to export it, the goal is not to get the package shipped back to Ghana because logistically it's going to be expensive for you. But for instance, if I have a product that is sold on the local markets, right? Maybe, for instance, if I'm selling stuff like maybe cashew, right? Cashew. Instead of putting cashew in plastic film, I can put cashew in stuff like jars, right? And then sort of advise my customers or users to return the jars when they are done using the cashew. Or say I process Tom Brown for consumers. in retail outlets. I can put in some incentive which rewards customers that return the packages, right? Because the package is a little bit expensive, you want them to reuse it several times before it goes into recycling. And to do that, you want to save them costs, you want to save yourself costs, right? So you incentivize them. Someone suggested that, and this model has been used several times. I remember when Coca-Cola were young, Coca-Cola had the model where when you buy Coca-Cola, you need to deposit money and then return the Coca-Cola bottle, the glass bottle, before the deposit money is given back to you. So you can adapt similar model for your packaging products, right? Or better still, incentivize those that return the pack so that they can get a bit of a discount, maybe 5% discount on the subsequent purchase because you have returned the pack. And that incentivizes them to constantly reuse the same package. Use it, bring it back to you. Now, with our model, it's for food. So this packages goes to caterers that serve corporate bodies and individuals, right? Or restaurants. And it's a bit expensive compared to the single-use plastic. But it's cheaper for use compared to single-use plastic. Because single-use plastic, if you spend, let's say, 0.50 euros or cents, it goes and never comes back. It's waste, right? And you have to find a way to deal with it out there. With these kind of reusable models, the containers go out to the users and then it's collected back, washed hygienically, of course, and then returned back to the restaurant or the caterers for it to be reused again several times. So for most of our packs, the life cycle around it is around about 300 times. It can be used 300 times before you decide to move it into recycling or repurpose the containers, right? So if you are into shipping, for instance, of maybe produce, and you want to introduce reuse model, of course, if you have a recurring customer, you can introduce this into it. For instance, somebody was sharing the crate form of packaging for avocado, right? If I use the crate in shipping stuff for my customers, it's either I sell the crate one-off to the consumer at the other end, right? It means I add that cost to their produce that they are buying from me, so that they can repurpose it for their other form of distribution, either into retail, or find a way to return it back. But that will also mean if I'm buying something, let's say for Europe, if I ship avocados to Europe and I'm buying some raw materials that I will need for my processing in Ghana or in Africa, then I might ask them to use the same containers to package those stuff. Other than that, returning them again logistically become expensive because you need to put them into container and ship them in. So those ones you want them to go, and then and they can sort of, you can sell it to them and they can use it for other purposes. So you need to look at proximity and then logistics if you're going to use a reusable model. In terms of reusable packaging.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And to Chichi, well, there have been many comments actually on liking, of course, and contacts and business. You see in the chat, because of the interesting models. To you, there is just one clarification on the cost, the extra cost for packaging. Do you think that in the case of your products, it's too expensive for the majority or low income of the population? Is that a particular, for example, target population you have, or you think, it's affordable because of course, the quality and all the extra things you have put there, which is amazing, by the way. Excellent.
Okay, so the different packaging we have for instance, you can find one particular product in different packaging ranges. The idea is at the end of the day, we want that particular category of buyers to be able to afford the product, which is why this particular pack size is targeted at low-income earners or low-income communities. The other pack sizes, which is the pouches and the plastic containers, are costlier than this one. The cost of packaging is costlier, and those other two packagings can be recycled and they can be used to store the product. If a consumer opens the product and not able to finish it per time, they can use the same packaging to store it for a period of time. So the packagings for those ones are a little bit, not a little bit, are even more costlier than this one. And because this is targeted to low-income consumers, we had to be sure that the cost of producing the packaging material is as low as possible. So the major thing that is costing money is basically the product itself.
Perfect. And indeed, you target different markets, different populations, and like anywhere, with different packaging, or let's say different, investment on the image and branding, but without affecting the quality.
Yes.
Perfect. Zippy, quickly, of course, people are a bit wondering why there are not more countries, African countries, to be members of the World Packaging Organization, and having more institutes like yours, etc. Another one is, of course, the work you are doing on the African packaging industries, especially on the use of sub-products or the circular economy. On the same way, how do you relate to investors to scale up the packaging innovations, be venture capital, impact investors, or bank loans, etc.? And on the EU or export regulations, it's not only EU, by the way, the other non-EU export markets also have regulations, and countries in Africa also have regulations. But you also give, let's say, courses and awareness and eventually, I don't know if technical assistance or trainings to meet the requirements of those regulations that cannot be challenged, obviously. Thank you, Zippy.
Yeah, so very quickly, let me just be clear that our organization, World Packaging APO, and all the countries, institutes, or associations, our main business is training and education. So like I'm here now, creating awareness that we do exist and that we would like to strengthen our capability so that we can serve more people, we can serve the industry better. And we also have to strengthen our capabilities so that we can have some more countries also having a center of expertise. Let's put it like that. So we are out now, stepping up. Packaging has always been silent, but now we're coming out of there, and we're talking, we're going out, we're networking, and saying that hey, we exist. And as we do along, probably, hopefully, we can find an investor or someone who can really give us this boost that we require so that we can give our services. But in terms of people, we have enough people who are who have good qualification, who have good experience, and Kenya is quite advanced. Let's put it like that in terms of packaging, and therefore, but then we still need to build the capability of supporting and even updating ourselves with the latest technologies. A lot of these technologies are new technologies, and then therefore we need to go out there, know, so we can disseminate the information. So ideally, we are creating this awareness that we exist. And for anyone in the room who would like to visit any one of the institute in any of the countries, we can give them the contact. And yes, we want more countries to be members because it's a membership. We want them to be members of the World Packaging Organization. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I mean, Axel has put also the link to the website for people to know more, to contact you and in the other countries where they are or nearby. I assume that you also have online the services you provide, the type of trainings. There were a few questions on very specific trainings as well that you provide. So thank you very much for that. Yes.
Sorry, Isolina, a quick one on the EU regulation. We are following very closely a regulation, and we're also disseminating that information and making people aware, so that we don't want to come to 2013 and we are caught with our pants down. So that is also something that we're talking about quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and I assume you are in contact as well with the Association of Exporters, because they know very well, of course, the regulations when it gets to export, and that, you know, they can also inform their constituency, put it that way, their membership, etc. Yes, to trigger down in a sense. Perfect. So please follow the links of all these important resources, because that's where you find resources. And Tom, there is a question for you on the 10-kilo avocado crates. Are they exported to Europe, Middle East, neighboring countries? Or if you could tell us more on that one.
Yes, thank you very much. Avocados is exported in 4 kg packs and 10 kg packs. Now, the 10 kg packs get started at the beginning of the season, because then, I'm sorry, the 4 kg packs is actually meant for the beginning of the season when the sizes are bigger, right? And that is between March up to around June. Sizes are between 14 to 24. As we get almost nearing the end of the season, then the sizes become smaller, and that is when the 10 kg packs become relevant. So at the beginning of the season, it is 4 kg packs. At the end of the season, it is 10 kg packs. Oh, you are muted. You are muted.
Thank you very much, because indeed the fresh fruit and vegetables are also critical to export. Does any one of you, we have put as well, of course, the link to the services of COLEAD. PAFO was put before as well. We have not only information on regulations, but technical assistance, training, business to business, etc., as I was mentioning in the beginning. So the whole spectrum, I mean, of support, from very general or collective to tailor-made. So it's really up to you to look or to contact. You have also an address, email contact to contact us. So is there any of you among the speakers that you would like to add something before we close? No? Very happy. Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone, for the contributions. I think there was something that was, as I listened to the submissions, that cut across. And I think it's something I've observed here and I think across Africa. A lot of young agri-businesses, right, from produce to plate, like you call it, most often the challenge, I mean, on the value chain has always been packaging. So very grateful and this was very thoughtful to have a topic like this to discuss. And I think more entrepreneurs going forward will take advantage of the innovations that are popping up in packaging. But more so, I want to encourage entrepreneurs. If you are into farming, if you're into processing, and I know sometimes your product might require you to buy whole machinery, right, for say packing or sealing and getting them ready for the markets. But I mean, if that is a challenge, I mean, if in your country you can find people who have similar machines and then maybe do some sort of partnership with them, right? Maybe you are into processing of pepper or maybe powder base, but someone has the machine, and you should find a way to find some synergies and partner. It's something that as a company we are trying to put together here in Ghana locally, because we realize most of the micro processing companies, those that cannot afford a whole assembly line, a whole packaging machine to just process their stuff to get them ready for the market, that is where they get locked. And that is why sometimes they don't get their products either exported or even accepted in most of the shopping centers. So often I'll advise them, if a group of 2, 5 can come together, if you can buy a machinery together, but if not, find people who already have use of it, right? And then make use of it, a sort of rent model for a while, and then pay a little money for it.
Thank you very much, because this is something that has worked in many countries, actually, what you are suggested, even in our part here in Europe. Joan, Inés, vous vouliez dire quelque chose?
I'd like to add something to that. So I'd like to add something to that.
That's Chichi. Yes, Chichi. Go on.
Please. So what he said is something that we do. because for us to do this particular packaging, we had to import an entire automatic packaging machine for this, and it's quite cost effective. It requires a lot of money to do all of that. So what we do is we have to map out our packaging and production days, particular days of the week, and then we lease the equipment to other smaller businesses who do not have those equipment or those entire chain, but who do this kind of packaging on a different product entirely, and we lease our equipment, and it makes it easier for them. So instead of holding hands or doing very below the par kind of packaging, they can leverage our kind of equipment to do this. So it's something that should be open. If we can have more instances where small businesses have a manufacturing hub that has all of these equipment, they will just need to just come in with their nylons or packaging materials and come in with their raw materials and just use the equipment, you know, and be able to get the results done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Joan, Inés, je ne sais pas si c'est sur la même ligne, sur le même sujet. Allez-y.
En fait, ce que moi je voulais compléter, c'est que d'ici, comme je l'avais discuté avec vous, j'aimerais partager à ceux qui nous suivent que cette année, nous avons comme un projet d'utiliser toujours ces rejets de la tomate pour produire des mouches soldats noirs qui vont permettre de nourrir des poissons et qui vont permettre aussi de nourrir les volailles afin d'améliorer leur qualité, de les enrichir en protéines et autres. Donc, ceux qui aimeraient se joindre à nous peuvent nous contacter et on pourra travailler ensemble.
Parfait, merci beaucoup. Je dirai un mot après. Je crois qu'il y avait encore Zip. Quelqu'un a demandé. Someone else asked for the floor? No. Yes? Zippy? I see you speaking, but you are muted.
Thank you very much, Isolina and COLEAD for bringing us together. This has been, for me, it has been very insightful to understand and listen to other SMEs around Africa, and to also say that World Packaging Organization, APO, and members are there who are experts in packaging, and together we can come together with some solutions and some answers to some of the challenges that you are facing, because we have a network of people around the world. So even if I don't have an answer here in Kenya, I'm in a network that can bring you answers. So this has been fantastic, and I want to say thank you very much for allowing us time. I'm going to share the questions with the rest of the team. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much to all of you. And my colleagues have just also put the link to, at the request, you know, we have today the number 18 sessions. So, you know, it's a number already. And the participants to those online sessions that we have regularly have been asking for space to continue the discussion, because 2 hours is 2 hours, you know, there is a limitation of time, share resources, etc., etc. So after many, many requests, we have opened not only a website which has all the presentations and recordings and resources that you share with us, but also a part of a forum where you can share, you know, more information. So please go there, put the information we have been discussing now, what you are looking for, what you would like to share, because that would be from a wider audience. It's beyond, of course, the people that have participated today. So is the forum, so please do that. Finally, before giving the floor to Babafemi, who is already actually here, it's called the Agri-Innovators Community. Of course, it's PAFO-COLEAD, we do it together, but it's just to share any resources that anybody is of interest. And for example, the idea of having some countries bringing together, you know, means to access more easily packaging. We have 2 big questions that my colleague, who is online as well, very active, Denis, is also helping us with, is a kind of sources of information on equipment, where to look for equipment in Africa, and also packaging resources. So I think together from our different, you know, resource points, we can share that. So before giving the floor to Babafemi, I would like just to thank you very much because it has been very, very informative for me and for all of us, for all the colleagues from PAFO and COLEAD working on this, to who I thank very much as well. We have understood, I don't want to summarize for a second, but we have understood the importance of packaging despite challenges and so on, but it's a critical part. It shouldn't be anymore considered as a minor one, but as a big investment, because it's something that gets return in terms of market, in terms of value, recognition, etc. That it has to be proper, and all levels are good. I mean, there is no scale there. It has just to have some food safety and quality, and of course, the more means you have, you can improve on the attractive part, and of course, all the area of green packaging, which is not only absolutely necessary because the environment is impacting your countries, but also because many of the regulations, be national or be export, will put more and more pressure on those. So all the information that was shared by Derrick and others, on the possibilities, the trainings, and the ways you have to inform yourself are critical. But please, Babafemi, a critical part for the farmers.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think this session has been very, very lively and very informative. And we can see the various innovations that SMEs and smallholder are undertaking to access market, because one of the key issues is the access to market, and the accessing the markets needs also appropriate packaging materials for the products that we want to take to the market, if they are going to be attractive to consumers and also give us a competitive edge. And we have seen that there is a lot of opportunities in the market. We see the size of the market very big, very huge market, both globally, in Africa, and also in nationally. We saw that in Ghana, we are told that it's about 450 million. In Nigeria, it's about 220 million. So we see these are opportunities for our small businesses to really key into and make their products to get to the market in a way that it will add value to them, and again increase their competitiveness. So I want to thank all the resource persons for their contribution and for the presentations, high-level presentations that were made. Also the participants, the questions that were asked, and the answers that were provided by the resource persons. We really thank you for that. Like Isolina said, that the 2 hours we have is very limited to be able to exhaust all the issues concerned. So that's why the Agri Innovators initiative is very, very important, so that we can go there and have discussions among ourselves, and also suggest areas or topics that would be very interesting for us to discuss in future sessions. Again, I want to use this opportunity to plead with all our participants, particularly our resource persons that presented today, that please share the link for the next session with your colleagues, with your industry partners, and so that they can also come and be part of these sessions. And in doing so, we are giving more opportunities to all of us and expanding the reach, and also promoting business in Africa, particularly for the smallholder farmers. Like I said, that PAFO is promoting farming as a business, and one of the ways we see it, or think that it can be really a business, is bringing the farm products, processing them, and bringing them to the market. And to do that, we need appropriate packaging materials. Once again, I want to thank the translators. I want to thank the equipment, the team, who are working tirelessly to ensure that these sessions are brought to us. And I also want to thank Isolina for the competent way she's been handling this innovation series. And we're looking for another session very soon, and we are going to get back to every one of us. And we expect that the participation will be better than today. Thank you very much, and I wish you a successful, and I wish you a good evening in anywhere. Maybe you are in the night now, you are in the evening. I wish you a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all, and you have our contact as well. If any of you in the audience wants to present their business or their model, is also we get experts, because all of you are experts. Sometimes some present and others are listening, and then vice versa. So you contact us for this or for any other information, clarification you want, any linkage with any of the speakers or participants that you want to. We will also put you in contact, previous clearance and agreement, of course, of the other person. Thank you very much to the interpreters. I hope that the 10 minutes we have run over will be forgiven and forgotten. And see you next time. Keep all well, and thank you very much to all. Bye.
Bye.